good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, fellow Amberlanders. Good evening, lovers of ACN TV and everybody across the world watching us, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, or in the night. I say thank you very much for being here with us. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered to analyze a historic moment for the people of Ambazonia. Yes, I said a historic moment for the people of Ambazonia. The Ambazonian Governing Council, the AGOC, through its relentless diplomatic push and strategic engagement, was invited to the inauguration of President Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. This momentous event marks a major milestone in our quest for independence or our quest for international recognition and legitimacy. Over the years, the leader of the Ambazonian Governing Council and his entire diplomatic team have worked relentlessly to make sure that Ambazonia becomes an international contender. And we can proudly say today that indeed his promises have been fulfilled. It was made possible through our partnership with Moran Global Strategies, represented by Mr. Elias, a seasoned lobbyist committed to amplifying the plight of oppressed nations in Africa like Ambazonia and many other parts of the world, of course. So, ladies and gentlemen, representing the Ambazonian Governing Council and the people of our beloved homeland, Ambazonia, at this historic event was Mr. Akonson Raymond, the head of the Human Rights and the Humanitarian Services of the Ambazonian Governing Council. This is not just a ceremonial event. It is a powerful diplomatic victory that signals growing international acknowledgement of our struggle for freedom and self-determination. But what does this mean for our liberation movement in practical terms? These are some of the thought-provoking questions we'll be discussing during this discussion. How can we leverage this success to further our cause? And at this time, at the beginning of the revolution, a lot was said about furthering the cause, working together. So, is this the beginning of a broader and a more unified diplomatic front for Ambazonia? Ladies and gentlemen, these are the questions that we'll be discussing today. So tonight, join us as we analyze and criticize and take corrections and discuss whatever you want to, but most importantly, these thought-provoking questions in this conversation. So we'll explore the significance of this achievement, the opportunities it presents to our people as a nation, and how we can move forward as a united front to fully realize Ambazonians' independence. So I am honored to have with me in the studio, not just myself, but the spokesperson of the Ambazonian Governing Council, whom you love and know, Mr. Asil Lucas. I will bring him in before I will bring in our August guest, who is no other but Mr. Akonson Raymond. So, Mr. Spokesman, thank you very much for joining me this evening and your bright smile. How are you?
Thank you very much for inviting us for this significant transformative discussion. I'm very delighted. It's a bright moment in the history of our people. Let's have a discussion that is going to transform who we are and transform the course of our independence. I am well. I'm very well. I'm very well, though it is very cold here. Today is our coldest day. We have -20 today.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wishing you well and hope that the sun in Ambazonia will be transported to help you there. So, spokesman, a good cup of green tea will save you well, not even coffee. Coffee will not solve the problem today, but a good cup of green tea will solve the problem. I'm so happy you are looking well indeed. I'm so happy that we are having this all important conversation today because a lot of Ambazonians are anticipating to hear what we have to say. And not just Ambazonians, but our diplomatic partners, our international partners, and nations that have been watching us from a corner that are actually anxious to know what we'll be discussing here today. But you were the one that actually went out and boom, gave the good news to the people of Ambazonia. How do you feel from that time to now, considering what has unfolded since then?
Can you give me 2 minutes of your time, please?
Please go ahead, sir.
There is something here I've written for the Ambazonian people. This is one giant step forward for Ambazonia. The godfather of modern revolutions and liberation struggle, Nelson Mandela, said, "It always seems impossible until it is done." For decades, they lied to themselves, they lied to our people. They said it was impossible to mobilize our people. It was impossible to sell the dream, the idea of freedom. That it was impossible to oppose and resist Cameroon's occupation. But Mancho BBC's genius in carrying a coffin to the square was a symbol of the readiness of our people that drew immediately thousands and thousands within minutes that filled the square. In an instant, he ignited and launched the Ambazonia liberation struggle before everybody said it was impossible. They said the occupation system has programmed and conditioned our people to become timid and fearful. That it's impossible for our people to ever pick up arms against Cameroon Bulu occupation savages. But General Ivomba and many other Ambazonian brave warriors, recruited and trained in Dadi by Dr. Cho Lucas Ayeba, they used their bare hands to challenge the once invisible bees. But before, they said it was impossible. They said it was impossible for the occupiers, created elites, and their political beneficiaries of the occupation to speak up against their masters. But Joseph Weber defied that logic, and and even his own political party stood up in front of the rostrum and told the devil inside their own parliament to shut the fuck up. He gained the respect and admiration of our people with these iconic phrases. When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes a duty. It is our duty to resist your army of occupation. They mocked Ambazonians. They said it was impossible to have a professionally trained army. It was impossible to equip them. It was impossible to build a professional force. General Efa, General Sumanguru, and all ADF commanders proved them wrong. General Efang transformed the Changshu boys into professionally trained army with trucks and machine guns. Dear patriots, the next time you come across a Cambazonia who tells you that it's impossible for the egg of sea to be invited by President Donald Trump, tell them they have the brain of a rat. Tell them they have the brain of a peanut. Tell them they have the brain of a frog. Impossible, it's only for Cameroon. In Ambazonia, the word impossible doesn't exist. We turn what's impossible into what's possible.
That is correct. The word impossible indeed does not exist in the archives or the records of Ambazonia, because following what our forefathers have gone through and where we are today, you will know that the word impossible indeed does not exist in the archives of Ambazonia. And thank you very much for bringing out those details, because when we started, I like the fact that you brought it from the very beginning to where we are, and that is the journey. And anybody who has failed to sit down and reflect on this journey truly does not fight for Ambazonia. Because the Changshu boys, they started with mere rubber guns, with bows and arrows, with just hunting guns. And today, we see our army challenging the most sophisticated army of La République du Cameroon, trained by Israel, America, France. And you will ask yourself, how did we get here? Young men in the communities just pick up, told themselves enough is enough. General Ivo never went through any military training. General Afang never went through any professional military training or trained by the Israel or the French or even the Americans, but he was trained by the will and the spirit of Ambazonia. His determination to liberate his homeland and make his children and children's children live in a free Ambazonia. That was the willingness, and that transformed itself into professional military training. And so the CIC himself, nobody trained him in any military or anything, but the will, the desire to see a liberated Ambazonia gave them the spirit to lead and to see a homeland liberated. And I'm so happy that despite the noise, the naysayers, and the saboteurs that we've encountered throughout this journey, we are seated here today with our head lifted high, with our shoulders, and smiling to the gains that we've gotten. No war is an easy thing. Like the CIC will always say, it is not a walk in the park. We will encounter challenges. We will lose our loved ones and families, friends will be gone. But that is the price you pay for freedom. And today, we can boldly say that Ambazonia is indeed getting to that cross line. La République du Cameroon, whether they like it or yes, they are leaving our homeland. Thank you very much, folks. And
yes. I
yes,
heard that La République is weeping. The colonial administrators.
They are supposed to weep.
The colonial administrators are weeping. All La République journalists, including Mimi Mefo, they are all weeping. They recruited proxies. The recruited proxies are all weeping.
Right.
Cambazonians are all weeping because for them it's impossible. And so because they believe it's impossible for them, it's also impossible for Ambazonia. We are not Ambazonians and we are not Cameroon. In Ambazonians, we make the impossible possible. That's who we are.
That's correct. That's correct. That is the spirit of Ambazonia. And I am happy. I'm very much happy. They started questioning, how is it even possible that we can be invited to a place like that? And they, as they claim, a nation, were not invited. They wanted us to show them invitations. They wanted to see us in the ceremony ground. They wanted to see the list. Can you believe that? I hear some of them were asking for us to present them with the list. And I'm asking you, who the hell do you think you are that you want that list to be presented to you? Not even the top journalists of America had the complete list of those that were invited. And you sit with your mushroom Twitter account and Facebook account. You want to authenticate what? What authority? The audacity is what I cannot even understand.
The HHS is here. The person who represented our people, the person who represented Ambazonia, the person who is the emissary, who went to this occasion, traveled, stayed in, they have to pay hotel, they have to buy flight, pay hotel for him to travel. So if some rat ass people are out there, because for them this is a joke, but for us this is a fight for our existence. So HHS.
Mr. Akonso Raymond, I wanted, I don't know why the studio brought you in very fast. We were still having that conversation before we bring you in.
I think he needed to be here. He's the one who has to tell the story, not me and you.
Yeah, and I think he's already overwhelmed and overexcited to just speed the beans to the Ambazonian people. And sir, we are so honored to have you in the studio with us today. And you are the star of Ambazonia. Today, you are the star of Ambazonia because you sacrificed everything to make sure that you represented Ambazonia and represented Ambazonia well in that event. And we've seen videos and interviews that you conducted, and the audacity in your voice, the confidence in the way you talk. And we just want to say thank you for having this opportunity to come and clear the air and educate our people and tell us exactly what happened and what we should expect from that event. So welcome to the studio, sir.
HHS, by the way, as we are live right now, Cameroon is asking, who are they? Who are we to want to speak for Ambazonia? Who are we to want to represent Ambazonia? They are asking. You know why? Because it's not the game as usual, where it's only the recruited, crowned, branded that do the talking. Now it's been done by the people themselves. We, the people, are doing the talking. Thank you so much for being that voice and for representing our country and our people.
So thank you to all the viewers who have tuned into this program. Thanks to the ACN team that has accepted to receive me today. It is an honor to come have a conversation with all of you, the Ambazonian people. Before I start taking your questions, what I wanted to say is this victory belongs to all of us. And it was very humbling for me to have represented the Ambazonian people at the inauguration of the President of the United States, President Donald Trump.
Perfect. Thank you very much, sir. So, Spokes, I want to go first with the first question, or would you want to come in?
Of course, you go first.
I like the way you put it. Of course, you go first. Okay, Mr. Raymond. You know, I always call your name in a special way because my eldest brother, my immediate elder brother, is also called Raymond. So, sir, you represented Ambazonia at one of the world's most significant political events, the inauguration of course, the president of your own nation where you live. How did it feel walking that momentous occasion, knowing you carry the hope of an entire nation on your shoulders? Talk to us, please.
First of all, to secure an invitation to such a very prestigious and highly exclusive event is not a small feat. It is a testament to the fact that we are making a lot of progress as far as our diplomacy is concerned. Just 1 week after signing a partnership with Moran Global Strategies, their expertise and dedication is what has really skyrocketed us to this moment. And there is a lot of things for the people of Ambazonia to know. And for me, it was a very, very humbling experience. Out of so many, if you look at outside the rotunda where the occasion was originally scheduled, out of not very limited number of people get into that space. And as we're moving forward in this conversation, you're going to see the color coding of our invitation, which we would have, just like Elias said in his video that is released, the invitation, which was at very close range to the President of the United States. So we'll be seeing that. So it's a very humbling moment, and this goes to tell the entire international community and La République du Cameroon in particular that it is not business as usual moving forward.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, come in, Spokes. Thank you very much, sir. I'm so honored to hear that. Thank you. Spokes.
We learned the Trump administration at the time, the incoming administration put out a statement about 3 days before that because of the extreme cold weather in Washington D.C., the event will be moved to the Capitol building, and this is the first time this is taking place in the United States in terms of inaugural ceremony. Uh, so when they changed the venue, obviously when it was outside, they could hold as much capacity as possible. Due to the changes in the venue, how did that affect the people that came from the dignitaries and foreign diplomats and head of states that came from other parts of the world,
So
including
it
yourself?
affected, yeah, so it affected almost everybody, and those who really sat within the confines of a hall um, were very limited to the incoming administration, members of Congress. Some senators were not even allowed into the building. And so that is how limited it was. However, we still had the opportunity to rub minds and have conversations with, those that were really going to the occasion to meet. It was not a matter of, just representing, just going to show face, but we wanted to kickstart a conversation that is going to, take Ambazonia to very different heights in the next few weeks and months to come.
That's correct. And just a follow up on that, which you've touched a little bit on, and receiving an invitation for the inauguration of the president of the free world is actually gigantic. And so this is a major diplomatic milestone for Ambazonia, like you said rightly. In your own view, what does this recognition signal about our movement's growing international status and the effectiveness of our diplomatic strategies at this time?
The dawn of a new day for Ambazonia has come.
Right.
The fact that Cameroon was no stormed as far as these invitations were concerned. Their diplomat in Washington, D.C. was not invited. And, Ambazonia was invited. And you heard the President of the United States that it is time for all the wars around the world to end. We saw how Cameroon came to Canada and the egg of sea caused them to escape through the back door. This time is a very different moment. Ambazonia is going to go places in the next, especially as we have retained our lobby firm. The lobby firm is made up of the finest diplomats, politicians in U.S. history with the right connection that the people of Ambazonia need. And let me tell you that it is also game over for La République's influence in Ambazonia leadership crisis because the lobby firm is very aware. They have educated members of U.S. government, especially the incoming Trump administration. You heard Elias use the word enabler and blacklegs. He knows, and
Exactly.
that is
He
that
knows.
is what they are telling. That is what they are telling the incoming administration in Washington D.C. that they know who the true leaders are. They know who have been implanted by Yaoundé, and during that occasion, while I was in D.C., we had we had chit chatting sessions. You're talking, interacting with people, and all that. Listen to what some US authorities, I wouldn't call names, listen to what they told us. They said, I don't want to use the exact words that they use on some leaders, those who call themselves leaders in the Ambazonia revolution. But if a diplomat, if a politician goes to the extent of telling you that somebody's a stupid, useless fool, in their own words, then you know what that means. That is really serious, right? That they don't know whether people, they don't know whether some people they are useful idiots to themselves and to the revolution, or they have been, implanted by Yaoundé to cause chaos and division. They said this guy will come to the State Department and say, "Oh, I'm in charge." The next morning, the other person comes and says, "Oh, I'm in charge." The next one. So they have looked at this thing over a long period of time, and they know the gimmick that Cameroon is playing, right? So now Washington, D.C. knows the fact that the Ambazonia Governing Council was, picked out of all of this mess is testament to the fact that they now know who the true leadership is. I will not name names, but there is a very influential, there are not only one, many influential figures within the current Trump administration who singled out the Ambazonia Governing Council as that rallying point, right? So, but it's not going to be arrogance on the part of the Ambazonia Governing Council. We're going to identify other stakeholders in the revolution, and then we're going to lead along all of them.
Perfect. That is wonderful. Thank you very much, sir. And I'll throw that back to you, spokes.
HHS, I know that besides the inaugural ceremony, there were also some meetings scheduled with top officials of the Senate and of Congress. You want to talk a little bit about that, or this is something that is still classified by the leadership?
Yeah. So as you know, I've not been authorized to make some statements, especially as some meetings will be taking place in the next few days, in the next few weeks, and so on and so forth. But at the moment, I've not been authorized to state the exact departments that are involved. So
Perfect.
not yet declassified by the AGOVC leadership.
That's correct. Thank you very much. And we would not like you to divulge any information that is still unclassified, because succeeding with this particular one is because we kept it.
Yes. Do you live in the state of in the state of you live in the state
Ohio.
of no, you live in the state of Ohio. How far is Ohio
Right.
from DC? What separates Ohio from the state of Maryland?
Yeah, several different states along the way. In fact,
You
in fact,
yeah.
in fact, during this period, flights from Ohio into Washington D.C. skyrocketed from $150 to $700 and something dollars
Jesus
in 2
Christ.
days. Right. So it is very stupid for people to think that the Ambazonia Governing Council is going to waste, that amount of money plus hotel bills for people to go and do showmanship. We don't do that nonsense.
That's
And
correct.
I wanted to also say that for those who were talking about invitation, that invitation was formally handed over to us at the point of call. Even the invitation has the rallying point where those who have been invited, where they have to meet, all the different directions that they have to follow. So we were handed our invitation, and then this is it. Here you have the 60th inauguration ceremony, and inside
Can
that
you bring it
invitation,
up, please, sir? Bring it up and put your hand on this thing so people can really view it. Yeah, you can put
all
your
right,
hand over your camera. Yeah, perfect.
No, it's
That
fine. We
is
can
it.
see it. Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
yeah, that's
So
okay. But he needed to bring it closer for people to see from where he was sitting.
yeah, so some said they were invited, but they don't have the real hard copy, right? So inside the envelope, you have the wordings of the invitation itself here, and everybody that I saw there had the same package. Do you know that even President Donald Trump had his? He
That's
had his
right.
own. Yeah, he had his own.
Technical team, can you bring this man forward to us? Just bring him to feed the screen for us, please.
That
Take us
is
out
it.
and fill the screen with the AHS, please.
Yes, just get him alone on this. Perfect. Ambazonians,
So
please, as you can see.
that is the first copy of the invitation. And you heard Senator Amy Klobuchar read some words at the event. These are the words that she read out. Amy Klobuchar, that's her. She read these words. We also have our own copy. And then, how do you get to the event? You get to the invitations were color coded. By the way, here is President Donald Trump, who signed all the different invitations. That's the president and his vice president.
Yeah.
Right? They signed all the different photographs like that. And then, if you look at our invitation, is color coded. Can you see blue?
Yeah.
So depending on the significance of the group, it is color coded. So if you look at this, the blue, and this is what would have happened if we attended. You see this main point. This is where the president will stand and swear. And look at the blue part here. That's where AGOFC, Biafra delegation, and Eritrean delegation would have been sitting, thanks to the MGS. So what Elias said in that video when he unveiled this, he was not grandstanding. He was not grandstanding. So when he said we would have been in close range with the president of the United States, he meant what he was saying. So listen, guys, this is not about grandstanding, and I even hate doing this, but we are doing this because naysayers, enablers, implanted agents of La République want to sow seed of doubt and chaos and division, just like what they have always done before. In the eyes of the AGOFC, this is nothing. To be invited at an occasion like this is nothing. It's just a stepping stone. This invitation has not given Ambazonia independence, but it is a stepping stone forward. It's just to ring a bell, ring a bell that time is changing. The next few weeks, next few months will be different for Ambazonia. So that is why we're coming to clear the air with things like this. And here you have, this is where and then these are the different colors, right? The different colors here. This main paper, the blue that I showed you about, that's blue there. That was explaining this other one, right? This blue one. Now, but this paper is explaining the different routes, telling us how to get there. Okay, so if you see here, this is the Union Station. So this is the Union Station up here, and the Union Station is just a block away from the event. Can you see the event here? So this is where all the invitees had to gather. I mean the invitees by MGS, Moran Global Strategists, who had to attend. We were there with the Biafran government. We were there with the Eritrean opposition leader, their government in exile. I met him face to face. So we gathered here at this point, and this is where the invites were handed over to us to move forward, for the occasion. All right, so that is the way it was, and I'm very thankful to the AGOFCs in Maryland who helped me get to that event on time. AGOFC, we take this revolution very seriously, and I am not so used to the Washington D.C. metropolitan area. So when I landed the night, I landed on the 19th, and I called an AGOFC, and he said, no, you can't stay in that hotel. If you stay in that hotel, you're going late. Period. So he had to drive wherever he was, pick me up. I spent the night at his place because he has a special card that he can get into anywhere in Washington, D.C. So we were scared that there will be blockades within the city. And so, if there are police blockades within the city, you take Uber, or even you have a rental car, you'll be blocked and you'll be late and you'll not be able to meet your objective, right? So he had to come pick me up at midnight. I spent the night at his place, and then he drove me into DC, showed his card everywhere, and they let us in. And that is how, remember, I didn't have the hard copy of the invitation yet to show, as passage. But
Right.
so when we got there, we're able to get to the metro station called Union. In the metro station, there's a place called Union Station. So that's where we were. And we were the first to arrive.
That's correct.
Everybody
First to arrive, that is.
Yes. And I'm proud to say that because AGOVCs are very time conscious people when it comes to doing business for the state. So we're the first to arrive, and we had our invites on time, and we were ready for the day.
Amen. Thank you so much, sir. Wow. This is incredible. This is incredible. And I am so happy the way you took your time step by step, showing the people of Ambazonia what we had, the invitation, explaining in details, because most of them will still look at this and will like, oh, that is Photoshop, because they've used to the word Photoshop. And so even though we are live on TV, they'll still be using the word Photoshop, or that is fake, because they grew up in an economy where everything is fake. And so they are used to using that word fake and Photoshop and all of that. But Spokes, I want to leave the HHS on this, and I want to ask you this. Let's have this conversation. How do you feel? Because where I'm seated right now, although I'm happy about this achievement, I'm happy about the wins that we are having, but at the same time, I feel disgusted for the fact that we have to sit on a national TV to justify things that Ambazonians should have rallied behind us to celebrate it. How do you feel about this? That we even have to come and sit here, show invitation, show this roadmap, show this the message that was read, and for what? We are fighting to liberate Ambazonia. How do you feel?
Someone contacted me last night, an Ambazonian who claimed to be a supporter of AGOVC. And he's very aware of the outings I have made, of the statements you have made, of the official statement the organization put out. He's in many of the AGOVC forums. He contacted me and says, is this all propaganda? Are these lies, or are we just making these things up? I told him, and the response I told him, I said, look, I understand why you don't believe in yourself. I understand why you don't believe in yourself. So most Ambazonians are trying to project their own inferiority complex into the liberation struggle.
That's right.
Okay? It's a consequence. It's one of those things we have to deal with. It's a reality we have to accept. Our people have never been made to believe in themselves. That's why they've never believed that Macho BBC, had the capacity to do what he did. They've never believed that Ivo could do all those things. So it's the same thing. Most Ambazonian leaders, core leaders or activists, they don't believe this is real. Because for them, the liberation struggle has become a platform for noise making instead of working for the people. There is no other group other than the Ambazonia Governing Council that has ever, when a soldier is killed on the ground, has come out and said we have lost a soldier. It's no group, including APLM of Dr. Kwanga. None. Okay? They don't feel the pain you feel. On a daily basis, the HHS is here. On a daily basis, I get more than 100 calls. Last night, I got a call. They sent me a video of a young man, he's 22 years old. The military picked him up. because he's playing with his friends. They picked him up, picked 2 of his friends. They disappeared them for a week. A few days later, they dumped their bodies on the streets. Okay? The family is sending me the details of this, including the photo of his lifeless body. So we live it on a daily basis. We understand what our people are going through. They don't, because for them, it's a platform for social significance. Whereas for you and I, we have been so much impacted by the pain, the suffering, the trauma, the displacement, the homelessness, and the starvation. So for us, this is personal. It's a mission, it's a journey to put these atrocities, pain, dehumanization, the hopelessness, and displacement of our people, to put these things to an end. Today, all of us have seen a video of a school in Bamenda. This is children in a school. The military is in quite close range, shooting. And you could see in that video a female teacher on the ground crawling to make sure that she's not shot. So you can understand why most Ambazonians that have been conditioned not to believe in themselves, they also believe that because they don't believe in themselves, these things are impossible. There are so many things we have done for our people. They want to steal that glory from our people. It's not going to happen. We own this glory. We own this victory. It is for the Ambazonian people. It is for our prisoners. It is for our refugees. It is for those that have been displaced. It is for the IDPs. It is for those, for the families and parents and mothers that have lost loved ones. This is part of that process. And this is the beginning. That this is all thanks due to the leadership of Ambazonia Governing Council. Most movements would have been disintegrated if a leader like Dr. Cho is arrested. Everybody else will escape. They would have abandoned the Ambazonian people to themselves because they'll be scared to shit. They'll be scared to their tails. Guess what the vice president did? He stepped in and continued with the mission and the vision to fulfill the promise of the Ambazonian people. This is work that has been going on for the last 3 months. Now he's putting the screws and the bolts into places to make it happen for Ambazonia. So this is what the AGOVC is. We are the spirit of Ambazonia. We represent the best of the best that is inside of all of us. You all read the interview the Guardian Post or the Guardian newspaper in the United Kingdom newspaper went to the ground, went to La Republique, and interviewed Ambazonian leaders in jail. That was last week. You could, when you read it, you could feel, you could sense, you hear, you can even taste their resilience, their determination, their readiness. This is real. This is who we are. So their defiance in jail, it's a reflection of the work we do out here. So this is an occasion that I heard Comrade John Bakoro made a 13-minute audio, talked about the importance of the chaos, but also talked about, how he wished, this would have rallied our people. But in that audio, or in that video, he never said when he heard this news. He didn't say he picked up the phone to call the vice president. He didn't say he picked up the phone to call the Secretary General of Ambazonia Governing Council. So you could see it even from the leadership perspective.
Okay,
right?
Spokes,
we understand all of this. The significance of this is transformative. Going
That's
forward,
very
as the
true.
HHS said, going forward, it will not be business as usual. We
Never.
will use
Yeah,
this opportunity not to trump ourselves or say this is what we've done or this is what we are. We will use this opportunity just like when the opportunity for the Canada pre-talks came. We use it as a rallying point for our people. We use it as a rallying point for our people. We united our people. We brought movements and leaders together. And that's why we were able to achieve the victory we achieved during the pre-talks. The Ambazonia Governing Council has a responsibility to build a united front for Ambazonia.
that's correct. And thank you very much for that. And to be honest, like I said before, I feel disgusted that we have to sit on national TV and discuss these things and show off this. I mean, it's really disheartening considering where we've been, the journey to where we are today, and to think that people can still go this length to try to sabotage everything that people have spent sleepless nights, money, energy, everything to get to for the greater good of Ambazonia is disgusting. But still, HHS, I'm curious based on what the spokesman said. This was an invitation that was extended to Ambazonia via the Ambazonia Governing Council. And Ambazonia Governing Council was representing the entire nation in that event. And we know that calls were made to Ambazonians in that metropolitan to rally, to show solidarity, to stand as a people, lifting up the Ambazonian flag, not in protest, but to celebrate this giant move for our diplomacy. I want to know, I may have not seen it, it may be out there, but did you have Ambazonians come to celebrate this great victory for Ambazonia, to stand there and say, we are standing as Ambazonians, like the Biafrans came out with their flags. We could see them carrying their flags. Did you have that level of support aside AGOVCs that joined you in this journey?
It's quite horrible. Actually, the head of Ambazonia Mission USA, who happens to be the COM for all the different missions, he talked to a number of people who are not within the AGOVC, who were coming up with plans to demonstrate a night before. And he gave them the location that I just told you guys, the rallying point, the location.
Yeah.
And
Union Station.
yeah, Union Station, they did not show up. The only people who showed up were some Ambazonian leaders, Ambazonia Governing Council leaders around DC and Maryland. So those are the few people who showed up to give us support. Now, we saw another crowd. I don't know if that was the Amazon. You know, people can be very funny. All right. They use the organization to make money. They use their different organizations, they make money out of that. What we saw were people who call themselves Cameroonians with placards asking the Trump administration, please, please, can you extend our TPS papers? They're expiring. So they were in front of the White House. So that is the, and it's ridiculous that you have an Ambazonian sponsoring that, right? You have an Ambazonian doing that, sponsoring that in front of the White House and all of that, because they heard that AGOVC had been invited. They refuse to show up here and they go to someplace else, right? In order to dampen that fanfare and stuff, right? Whatever the case, the purpose for the invitation, the purpose for which the Ambazonia Governing Council went to that inauguration is number one, to honor, if you're invited, right? You honor the invitation. So number one, we honored the invitation. Number two, we wanted to engage in what I call chit-chatting diplomacy. right?
Yeah.
Where you're talking at the sidelines, you're talking to people and tapping them and getting the kind of thoughts that they have. And that's where I got all that information from, where you get somebody coming and saying, no, Dr. Ayaba is a bad man, or this one comes and says, I'm the one in charge, and so on. So that's where we got all of that from. And thank God they know now who the true leader is. That is why some of those other people who call themselves leaders we're begging to also get invited, stuff like that. And they were, so now it's not going to be business as usual. It's not going to be business as usual because I was reliably informed that moving forward, anyone who tries to come and show discord, if you call the State Department or you send a petition to trash it, you call the State Department to ask you to go meet the Ambazonia Governing Council to form. That is why when I came home last night, yeah,
HHS,
when I
please,
came
HHS, please repeat this again for Ambazonians to hear. Repeat this again, please. It's important.
So what I deduced from the different chit chatting and what our firm is doing is that moving forward, Washington, D.C. is not going to listen to Spurs ranks. They have watched, they have studied us for a very long time. Look at the revolution. Some people think that the MGS just came in yesterday. The MGS had been talking to the leader, Dr. Ayaba Cho, way long before he even got arrested. I'll say abducted by the Norwegians. They're just playing to the gallery. So he was talking to them, and we already had everything in motion. Things just skyrocketed in early January. So these guys have been studying the Ambazonia Revolution for a very long time and talking to people who matter within the United States government, and they're getting feedbacks and information. And I was able to also firsthand get all of this, information from chit-chatting here and there. And that is absolutely what is going to happen moving forward. Again, I repeat, not from a secondary source, but this is what I deduced. No more petitions from different groups against the AGOVC. Number one. Number two, if any group comes and says, we are in charge, don't talk to those other people, they are going to ask you to meet the AGOVC. I think that the reason they're doing this is because they want to help us. And within the AGOVC, we know who is who. We know who has been implanted by BIA. We know who is there for money, for their own personal aggrandizement. We know who genuinely has the cause at heart. That is why when we got this invitation, the leadership of the Ambazonia Governing Council reached out to different group leaderships and broke the news and said, you know what, moving forward, let's try to consolidate this, come together and build a front and push this thing forward. So even if, just for emphasis, again, moving forward, no more division in Washington, D.C., because Washington already knows. Yeah, regarding Ambazonia, Washington already knows who the true leadership is that in the few weeks, months to come, they hope to work with.
So HHS.
Thank you very much, sir. And
they want to streamline the process, reduce multiplicity of effort. They want to scrap all of this out. So let's say 10 Ambazonian groups exist. They go there and make different 10 submissions. The State Department will say, no,
right.
we don't want that anymore. Going forward, there will only be one submission. If you want to make a submission, go through the Ambazonia Governing Council, because that's the movement now we will use as a contact group for Ambazonia, right?
Yes, absolutely. And this reminds me of there is one guy who runs an organization called Justice for People of Southern Cameroon, something like that. Now he used to say that, and he called groups. Now we are leading. I don't want us to be calling groups. I don't
Definitely,
want us to call.
definitely.
Yeah. So this guy used to call groups how they sent letters to the State Department on certain things, how they want marginalization, that they call it marginalization, they want, federation within Cameroon. And now that is what is on paper that these guys are seeing. And mark you, the State Department has all of this. And if the State Department knows that Ambazonia truly has the right to external self-determination by being a country on its own, that the United States of America voted on the 21st of April 1961 to grant that independence, and that independence is not there anymore. Therefore, it is safe to state that the State Department understands that we truly are deserving of our own independence. And so, if someone puts their face in front, deceiving Ambazonians that I'm fighting for your independence, and then they're writing a letter and sending to the State Department that, we're fighting against marginalization, we want federation and all. So the State Department already knows that this one is in the word that one guy used, a stupid fool or something like that. So those are the kind of words that they use.
A useful idiot.
Very good. A useful. That's it exactly. Supposed it looks like you're a useful. Yeah, that's the word that they use. So
Speaking with confidence and spilling rubbish.
yeah. So I think the take home is that it's not going to be business as usual. They have the right. People have the right to make phone calls and say that this group is the worst on earth. Make phone calls, send petitions. All of that will be ignored. It will be trashed. That is the message that I brought. Now, there is no grandstanding in this. I'm not making this up, and I have no reason to do that. Spokes, I hardly come on air, right? But if I come on air, I'm passing out a very, very important message. And I'm coming because myself, I am, energized. I am powered. I'm empowered by what happened in Washington, D.C. to say, hey, look, Ambazonians, forget about all the schisms of the past. Forget about all the confrontation in all what. If some other group had this opportunity, I don't think that the AGOFC would not support them. We would, right?
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah. So destiny has so made it that it has fallen on the Ambazonia Governing Council, and let us not waste this moment. Let's rally around a common purpose. One hand cannot tie a bundle. The Ambazonian Governing Council can, but it's going to be easier if many hands tie that bundle.
Thank you very much, HHS, and I'm very happy that we are having that conversation. But before we get into more achievements and a possible collaboration, we were also, and I'm only bringing this up based on your last statement there, just because I want us to be able to advise Ambazonians, the different groups that are working within this struggle, claiming to be working for this struggle, and those Ambazonians who are so vulnerable and so gullible that they believe everything that these people say. We got reliable information that when we announced the fact that we've been invited for this inauguration, instead of our leaders or instead of members of other groups to call us and plan with us on how we can come out massively to attend this inauguration and showcase Ambazonian cause, they were rather calling the State Department to condemn the AGOFC, to sabotage the AGOFC, to ask if it is even true, call MGS, trying to tell them AGOVC is the wrong partner to work with. They do not speak for Ambazonians. They do not do this. And this is the problem we have in this revolution. We have seen this play over and over again. Ambazonians sabotaging Ambazonians' effort to self-determination. We saw how our people, we got an opportunity to work with UMPO. Our same people sabotaged it. Other opportunities that would have elevated us to maybe to where we don't know how to even explain today. When we take 10 steps or 15 steps forward, they bring us back. Please, you said something that we are not here to call names, we are not here to sabotage anything, but we are here to work for the greater good of Ambazonia. Based on all of this, what message can you truly pass to these people before I go forward to ask you some few more questions? This is very important.
Number one, Washington, D.C. is not stupid. It has taken them all these years to separate the sheep from the goats. All these years. And now, having made that separation, they understand which genuine group to work with. That's number one. Number two, our people must be very woke. Our people must by now, because sometimes when I see, people comment on social media on things that is very easy to discern, right? Because having that spirit of discernment is something that is very difficult for some people. But to answer your question, I think that what the Ambazonian people should do is try the Ambazonia Governing Council. Right now, we are seeing a lot of, displacement of people who used to believe in all the lies they were told to the Ambazonia Governing Council right now. But we still have remnants. We don't want to leave anybody behind. We still have remnants of people who disagree, some out of malice, sheer malice, right? Some out of the fact that they are so jealous and they don't want to go with the flow. Some out of the fact that, because I said A, B, C, D against this organization in the past, how will I look like, if I start supporting them? So it is time for us to keep the past behind us and come together as a people and chart a way forward. Like I said, just people should try, put that same confidence that you put in some people in the past that shattered your hopes, put that same confidence in the Ambazonia Governing Council, and the AGOVC is not going to fail, because the AGOVC is the vanguard. When we say the AGOVC is the vanguard, it means everybody in the AGOVC is looking at the goalpost. Anybody who makes a statement contrary to us moving towards that goalpost is removed immediately. We don't want any distraction. Right. So join
and we have a track record.
And right. Thank you. And there is a track record. Now, let me emphasize, if you will permit me, one thing which is very important. And that is the issue of, having a plan. Having a plan is extremely important. When this war started, I can name you, personally speaking, I can name you when I was a refugee moving from Yaoundé under the cover of darkness, escaping into Nigeria. Sisoko Ayoktabe was just like a dad to me. He helped me financially, helped my family. If there's one person that I should have been up there to promote and support and give would have been him. Many others within other groups helped my family personally. Personally. But I cannot, remove my support. I cannot support you because you helped me. I'm supporting you because of
what you stand for.
Ambazonia.
Exactly.
Of what, yes, of Ambazonia, of what you, that leader, stands for. Now, I'm not dismissing that some people do not have a strategy, right? It comes back to that force of argument. Which group has the strongest force of argument? Which group has the best argument, the best strategic roadmap? When I was in Nigeria, I studied all the different groups, all. At that time, the consortium, the AGOFC. I was not close to the AGOFC. But when I look at the different blueprint, at that time we had Morris. Morris also had Bohebet also had a very good print. So I studied all of these guys, studied what they're doing, and there's, if at all some had the strategic game plan. And I saw that the Ambazonia Governing Council had the best project, self-defense, targeted diplomacy, and internationalization. These three make an unbeatable, point for success.
That's true.
It's an unbeatable strategy. Everything concerning revolutionary politics is hinged around these three simple words: self-defense, targeted diplomacy, and internationalism. That is why when people came together, that fanfare, and picked Sisiko Ayok Tabe, I called him as someone I knew. I called him. I said, with political power, you can never go anywhere. Given my own experience playing politics back in the day in La Republique, we met all manner of diplomats in Yaoundé. I know how they think. I know how all of them think. So I want Sisiko. I told him that with just political power, you can't go anywhere. You can't. It's just a waste of time. It's fanfare. They open the cards for you. That's nothing. It's not going to give Ambazonia independence. Then I cornered him. I told him that in order to succeed, contact. At that time, I was not even talking to Dr. Ayabacho. I said, contact Dr. Ayabacho of the AGOFC. I had sat down and studied the entire environment. I said, contact Dr. He says he's very willing. And how does he go about it? I started looking for the contact of Dr. Ayaba, and I finally got it. And I caused the two men to meet. If you see the first person on the left, that's me while I was in Nigeria, the black shirt. That's me. I caused them to meet in a hotel in Lagos. And they met. Everything was fine, cordial discussion. But guess what? Sisiko went, and the guys around him indoctrinated him again. And it all went back to zero.
Zero.
And that is the genesis of all of these different factions that have come. Ask yourself, why is it that amongst all the different groups, only the Ambazonia Governing Council stays in one piece? You've never heard that there's AGOF. You have not heard about there's AGOF-C of Benedictwa. You've never heard that there's AGOF-C of Amabo. You have never heard about there's AGOF-C of Lucas. No. The AGOF-C has always stayed in one piece. That is to tell you that it's a very strong. The United States of America is strong because of its institution. When I first got into the United States, I said, wow, these guys are very strong institutions. If they don't have a president, things will still work out. If the US doesn't have a president, the system will still work well. So because of those very strong institutions that the Ambazonia Governing Council has, the very solid foundation, the organization is still in one piece today. I can have, and the convictions of the different members. I can have my differences with the president, but because of the love for Ambazonia, you can have your differences with another member because of the love for Ambazonia. When destinies meet, yes, when destinies meet. So sometimes my wife even tells me, people in the egg of sin are one mommy bonded. Because when destinies meet, you know, if I have differences with the president, I will not kill the organization to form another group. No, things are not done that way in the egg of sin. So that's why you have different and then the interest of the individuals is also very important. Everybody in the egg of sea that has Ambazonia at heart has always been within the organization, fighting for, except those that were sent by Yaoundé and they were unable to meet their end. They had to run away in multiple directions, right? But they were unable to shatter the Ambazonia Governing Council. It still stayed in one big piece. Norway and La République du Cameroon and the Biden administration thought that they could crumble the leadership, but it has one very, very strong, succession. If Vice President Ni is not there tomorrow, we know already the next person who is coming. If that next person is not there tomorrow, there is another one. The organization is strong. It cannot be broken, period. Let Norway know this.
Thank you very much, HHS. And proudly so, the Ambazonian Governing Council will remain in one piece. There will be no splitting or splinter groups and all of that. And you and I, as we are talking here, you know that the day we get up one morning and hear that this person has now formed his own fraction and this... You are gone. We are all gone. We're like, this is not what we stood for. This is not the egg of sea we know. And this is not what we are building. And I'm so grateful because this singular action is something that Ambazonians should have sat down and asked themselves those questions. How come they say this man is a bad man? They say Ayabacho is a proud man. He doesn't want to unite. He doesn't want to collaborate. He is the killer. He is all the names. Egg of Sea people are like this. And yet, the same egg of sea has stood the test of time. In turmoil, in storms, in tsunamis, in whatever, we have stood the test of time and we've always emerged victorious. They said before that when they took out...
They inject these schisms of Northern Ambazonia, Southern Ambazonia kind of divide that the Bamenda organization. But look at who are the toughest...
They call it Grafi organization. Look at it.
Yes, look at the toughest leadership. Those who are the strongest people around Dr. Cho Ayaba are those from Southern Ambazonia.
From Ambazonia. They are just Ambazonia.
Yes, look at the vice president. Look at the spokes. People, the SG, key positions, right? So only people like Mimi Fufu will be doing the bidding of La République du Cameroon, and trying to pump in those kind of invectives to cause discord and chaos. But the warning to them: the Ambazonia Governing Council is strong and solid, as hard as diamond. It can never be broken.
That's it. And this is the pride of the leader of the Ambazonian Revolution, Dr. Cho Ayaba, wherever he is, because wherever he's sitting and looking at what is happening, he will hit his chest and say he was a good leader. He didn't, because they said once he's out, there will be no egg of sea. But look at egg of sea today. Egg of sea continue to thrive, and we will continue until he comes out and take and retake his position. And nobody will fight that position with him like the others have been doing and separating the group and then splitting the groups and all of that. We are not interested in power. We are interested in liberating Ambazonia. And HHS, I'm
Absolutely.
so happy that we are having this conversation, and I hope that Ambazonians are listening and they can really learn from us. But coming back to this very momentous event that you attended, I wanted to ask this. What tangible achievement can we already point to from this diplomatic push? How has this, event strengthened Ambazonians' positioning on the global stage, particularly in terms of our right to self-determination and human rights advocacy?
The first thing is that recognition, that invitation in and of itself is a very, very big blow, an uppercut on La République du Cameroon. La République is bleeding right now. And guess what? Countries, different countries were asking us, different countries, before we went there, different countries are asking us, is that really true? Even countries, not even Ambazonians. I mean, countries, different states. Is true that Ambazonia was invited? And some people think the Ambazonians, the naysayers, the enablers, were asking us to show the invitation. Even countries were also asking. So that is to let you know that it's very gigantic win. It is very consequential. Again, it is one of the wins that we're going to be, making in the next few days and weeks to come. There are a number of meetings, like I said. I'm not authorized to speak on those. There are a number of meetings that will be coming. We have a session close to this weekend, to this even Thursday, so close to by Friday. If I check my calendar, maybe Friday, we'll be meeting, to discuss about what we're going to be, setting schedules for next meetings that will be coming up. Right. So again, self-defense, targeted diplomacy, internationalization, and I like this program, strategic diplomacy, where our lobby firm is going to be putting us face to face with very, very influential, powerful people in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
The dawn of a new day in the life of Ambazonia has come.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And you already kind of answered the second question on that I wanted to ask, because we wanted to see how we can really leverage this opportunity for Ambazonia, for the greater good of Ambazonia. And you have said it that in the next coming days and weeks, there is so much to be done. But then you also have echoed a lot about collaboration, and you even said that the State Department and even the MJS, they are more emphatic on the fact that anything that comes, they will redirect them and say, you rally under Ambazonia. That is also saying that other groups can work with Ambazonia, Ambazonian Government Council.
They have already started doing it. I just wanted to point that out. So just continue. So people have been calling, and they have already started doing it.
Exactly. We know that they already have started, and but then, like we said earlier, this win is for Ambazonia. It is not for the AGOVC. The AGOVC remains the vanguard of this revolution. It remains the ship that is pivoting Ambazonia to sailing it through to where its destination is. And so, can this diplomatic success serve as a springboard for building a more collaborative, or like they always want to hear the word unity, a united front amongst Ambazonians, fraction and leaders?
You cannot put lipstick on a pig. It's a very common, and this is a saying that I knew. This is a saying that I knew a long time ago. But remember, I talked about chit chatting in DC. It's one American who told me, was answering this question for you right now. He said, you cannot put lipstick on a pig. That's to tell you that it's going to be very difficult given given the fact that many people have, number one, been implanted by La Republique, number two, have their own selfish desires. Some of those leaders, or so-called people, the people you call leaders, are people that if they hear that somebody else is taking them to Boya, they prefer to stay with La Republique. That is not having the country at heart. How do you form a platform with those kind of people? Now, the vice president of the Ambazonia Governing Council has created a commission and taxed some people with very good lobbying skills, people who can talk to other leaders. So he has created a commission for that kind of conversation to start.
Exactly.
Okay? Having in mind that it may fail. If it fails, sad. If it works, good and fine. But let's always have in the back of our mind that due to the divided interest that people have, it becomes very difficult to form one unique platform. However, this is not the official position of the AGOVC. My personal opinion is, if we have to, we can remain in the different groups, right? You stay in the different groups and coincide, bring the different ideas and work from that point. Look at what happened. Look at what happened in Canada.
Yeah.
We were like enemies, but when we went at table, we spoke in one voice.
That's correct.
When they go back to the hotel rooms, they're launching blows. When they come to the table, they're speaking in one voice. That made La Republique scared, and they had to run through the window and escape. So, Ambazonians, there is power if we speak in one voice. We have strength and power. So, let's come together on a round table and chart a way forward on ways we can use in order to make meaningful impact with this kind of leverage that we currently have.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, HHS. And I just want to amplify on what you've said about a group, a committee that has been set up to, source this collaboration between the different fractions. For Ambazonians to also know, because a lot of Ambazonians have the notion that the Ambazonian Governing Council, or Ayabacho, is the one who never really likes collaboration, but we have seen it play over and over again in different occasions where he shows up, generate resources for Ground Zero. They never see the resources for Ground Zero, and then talk on collaboration. The next day, everybody is backing out because they feel threatened, because their own personal interest is being threatened with the work, the collaborative platform. So let it be known to Ambazonians that leaders are currently being contacted to make sure that we work together as a people to foster these diplomatic wins that we've started gaining, so that people will not come out and say they don't like to collaborate. No, if you don't see anything tomorrow, then those your leaders that you claim are the ones that love collaboration and we don't like collaboration, means that they have rejected a hand of fellowship that we've extended to them, just like they refused gathering in DC 2 days ago to support this diplomatic win. But that said, we just wanted to have that clear, HHS, so that our people will know that there's been a group set up to meet, to reach out to these various leaders and movements to see how we can work together for to achieve our collective goal. And
so,
one
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, one thing I wanted to also say is people always feel so proud to speak with others. So when somebody, if I pick my phone and call, I don't want to call names, and you feel that it must be this person that should call you, then you are not interested in working with us. What is most important is that our organization is well strategized. We have institutions and people, anybody that is put in a particular position is well qualified to handle that position. So when somebody, they would have expected the vice president to be the one to attend the inauguration, or the president himself, but you are the head of the Human Rights and Humanitarian Service, a former spokes. You were present there as a representative of AGOVC and for Ambazonia, because you're well qualified to be in that place. So nobody that comes to talk to you about collaboration, you should undermine them because it is not this particular person. So I just wanted to make that particular point very clear. You wanted to say something before I ask you the last question, and
Yes,
we round this
I
off.
think I have a lot of experience in the revolution to
Yeah.
talk about collaboration, and it is
Right.
unfortunate just that natural human instinct that I think people should be able to curb. You have that natural human instinct, that when you're playing politics, you want to lead. That is what I saw at the initial stages, 2020, 2016, 2017, when the AGOVC wrote out this triad approach of self-defense, targeted diplomacy, and internationalization. And they wanted to springboard that. They wanted to springboard that using, because Cameroon declared war and we had to protect our people. So the AGOVC instructed the formation of a defense outfit. Now, while that concentration is going there, some other people erect a TV station to whitewash the minds of the people, pump propaganda. That has had an effect and a huge toll on the revolution to this day. Many people, the common man on the streets, there are certain things that they don't understand. Whereas from the beginning, the only person who has been so much in favor of let's talk together, let's meet, and so on and so forth is Dr. Eba. It's so painful when some of us know these truths and they go on TV and say something else. What do they want to achieve?
That's
What do
right.
they stand to gain with all such lies? I'm saying that because you saw the image that they flashed. If that picture never existed, people would think that Ayaba never ever met Sisiko in Lagos. And
Yeah.
that meeting held just about a week after Sisiko was made. I think they called it the governing council, the Skakuf governing council at the
The
time.
Skaku. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, just 1 week after that, I was able to put them together. Ayaba flew from Norway with his Etat Major. He flew from Norway and brought his people down to have that meeting. That is somebody you say is not interested in collaboration?
He flew from Norway. He caused the deaf chair Benedict Quar to fly from US, and
From the
then the
US?
other one that
Yeah.
is there from Germany and Belgium. Just, I mean, people left different parts of the world just to
Yes.
sit in that meeting.
So when I hear what, for example, I orchestrated behind the scenes, trying to give advice, and then people are saying something else on TV it's really heartbreaking. That's number one. There's number two, that it was a personal thing, but I declassified it long time ago. When I just came
Right.
to the US, and these guys, oh God, these guys sacked Sisiko and made this Sako the head of their faction of the
I,
IG.
mhm.
Do you know that? Do you know that against the wishes of the AGOVC, I secretly, I secretly convinced Dr. Ayaba. He flew into Maryland and met Sako. Many people don't know this. Egg of C did not know this. I said I'm declassifying it because it's my secret.
Yeah.
So they brought, yeah, he flew and met Sako. If that is somebody who is not interested in charting a way forward or talking to people, how would he have flown? How many of them have flown to Norway to meet him? How many?
He's always the one
He's the
flying
only
to
one
meet
who
people.
comes. Yeah, he flies to Maryland. There's Washington, D.C., there's New York. He flies there. He flies to meet Bo Herbert, flies to meet different
He
people.
goes around doing European tour, the war tour, just to bring Ambazonians
So,
together. What in the name of God are these people talking about? South Africa,
yes,
Ground One, the whole Europe, America, North America.
so the egg of C is not afraid to talk. The egg of C does not shy away from discussions. We have what it takes to look at you eyeball to eyeball. We are not scared of you. We're not afraid of you. We have the ideas. Let's match the ideas. One guy has a WhatsApp forum, and in that forum they keep batching the egg of C, batching the egg of C, batching the egg of C. And I brought this. I said, okay. I raised my hand. I said, okay. What I know is the Ambazonia Governing Council has a plan. So I come up with a list. I put number 1, Ambazonia Governing Council, plan, triad approach, self-defense, targeted diplomacy, and internationalization. That is the strategic game plan in 3 simple words. I put number 2, can you list these other guys and tell us what their plan is? For about 1, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, nobody is saying anything. They don't have any plan. I had to exit the forum. That is how stupid some people are. You have no plan, just noise, right? So we of the egg of C, we are not afraid to sit you down and say, this is our plan. Beat our plan with your arguments, and you bring yours. We try to defeat that with arguments.
Compare
That
notes.
is,
Yes.
yeah, compare notes. That is how a true democracy works. So we are not scared to meet and talk.
That's right. Thank you very much, HHS. And just a very last question to you there on still this event that took place 2 days ago. The current president has a history of disliking dictators and authoritarians. And Cameroon is panicking, not just because the Ambazonian Governing Council was invited to that inauguration. Cameroon is also panicking because during Trump's administration, they were kicked out of OGAO. And Biden came and brought them back in. And now Trump is back. Knowing Donald Trump and his history, do you think we are looking at seeing Cameroon receiving more sanctions, bans to enter the United States, and being kicked out from OGAO again? What is your perspective on this?
Number
Especially
1,
being invited.
yes, number 1, there is already something that is hurting Cameroon right now. Donald Trump has stopped foreign aid to all countries, which means that their military will not be having the military support from the United States. They'll not be getting, that training and equipment anymore. So that's out of it. So on day 1, that happened on day 1. So that tells you, before the day 1, La Republique was snapped. They were not invited. A very big blow before, not invited. Number 2, on day 1, they have sanctions. Stopping of all, foreign aid to different countries. So I think number 2 is going to come. Number 3 is going to come. So there is panic in La Republique because Trump, this is his last term, and he wants to match words with actions. He has made a very bold statement. End all wars. End all wars. With our lobby firm, right? When our lobby firm puts us in front of the Trump administration, we're going to tell them, You have on your blueprint to end all wars, right? Except
Yeah.
Ambazonia is in space. Except Ambazonia is in space, right? Or in some other universe, right? So Ambazonia is in this world, and that war is going to end within these 4 years. So La Republique is panicky. La Republique has no argument, historical, legal claim over Ambazonia. Zero. There is complete zero. 1961, they marched an army of occupation into Ambazonia and they've held us captive to this day.
Yeah.
So, where is the marriage certificate? There is no marriage certificate. They need to withdraw. We'll tell the Americans, you guys voted for our independence in 1961. And these guys
That's true.
rode their tanks over, colonized us. Can you use your influence and tell them to withdraw? That's going to end the war. It's just very, very easy. Easy. You see what Trump is going to tell the world? Very easy. Tell them to leave. It's not their country. No guns, everything, no bullets, everything settled in one day.
You know, when you're talking, I'm trying so hard not to mimic him. so, so it's crazy. So thank you very much, HHS, and I hope Ambazonians you've listened and you've learned a ton lot from this conversation, because all your doubt we told you, for all your doubt, all what you needed to know, we've given it to you and more. And we've called on you, Ambazonians, making noise everywhere that we need this and that. Go out behind those leaders and tell them that this is the call the AG of C has sent out. So they should be the one to answer to you people, no longer the AG of C. Just to close this up, HHS, I want you to just give us a shout out to MGS and also every other person, be it an activist, be it an individual, be it an organization, in whatever shape or form that they contributed in this very successful win that we are having today. Let us just return, acknowledge and appreciate them for a job well done, and then you can wrap that up with your closing remark.
All right, to the Moran Global Strategies, the Ambazonian people, are very, very appreciative of what you did. Just 8 days after the Secretary General of the Ambazonia Governance Council signed that contract with your firm, you were able to secure us an invite to the Trump inauguration. So we are the Ambazonian people, on behalf of the Ambazonia Governing Council, very, very thankful for what you've put together. But what I want to tell Ambazonians is to hire a lobby firm in Washington, D.C. requires a lot of money. So we are in one of partners. We want partners to join us to foot these monthly bills. We are going to be very appreciative. Contact any member who is within the Ambazonia Governing Council that you know of, or you reach out to the ACN that you want to fund, because it's a monthly bill. You want to fund this initiative, and you're for those who were okay. Good. This is a very great point I want to make. For those who were saying that they are scared to fund the egg of C, that money is going to be diverted into maybe something or whatever. Now is the time you have the legal right, 100% right, to fund a lobby firm on behalf of your country. Nobody will ask you questions. Nobody's going to ask you questions. Legal. This contract is registered with the United States Department of Justice. Go to their website, you see that relationship. So don't chicken out. Don't say that, somebody's going to profile me for sponsoring the egg of sin. No, if you want to support, boldly state that my contribution is to pay the lobby firm for Ambazonia. Case goes to nowhere. The United States Department of Justice is aware of this relationship, and you are going to be covered. Thank you for your support. Thank you to the Ambazonian people. Thank you, ACN TV, for having me.
Thank you very much, HHS. And people will be asking, what is this HHS that we keep saying HHS? When I was introducing this man, I told you guys that this is the head of the Human Rights and Humanitarian Services of the Ambazonian Governing Council. So I don't want to be reading out the entire name. So that's the abbreviation of the Human Rights and Humanitarian Services. So that's why we call him the HHS, because he's the head of that department. And thank you very much, not just for taking our time to sit here this evening, your time or afternoon, to talk to the Ambazonian people, but also sacrificing your other duties to represent the nation in an event that is historic. And I'm very glad, because you did what your name will go down in history, and that name is a well-deserving name to go down in history. And so, fellow Ambalanders, you've all heard it from the horse's own mouth. You've seen it demonstrated to you. Now, what do? Ground zero is the target. Let us rally as we talk about self-defense. We talk about diplomacy, internationalization and targeted diplomacy, and community mobilization, the tried approach. Let us now rally ourselves and keep ground zero boiling. Boiling, not just hot, but boiling. While we are having these wins at the level of the international community, let us also give La République the endless nightmare that they deserve in our territory. So I'm inviting you all, I'm calling on every Ambazonia. If you were still doubting, you are questioning, where does our money go to? You have seen it. You've seen it demonstrated on the ground. You've seen it demonstrated at the international level. So come in, let us gather ourselves and fund ground zero. Fund our fighters on the ground, support our schools on the ground, support our IDPs on the ground, our internally displaced persons, our refugees. Please, in whatever domain you want to support, I think this is the time for you to come on board. Come on board and do your duty. Pay your liberation tax. On the ground and the diaspora liberation tax, it's just $100 a year. It's just $100 a year. And that is just registering your name in the books of Ambazonia, that during this time of our struggle, during this time when we were fighting for our liberation, I sponsored, I also participated by paying my liberation tax. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the sake of our IDPs, for the sake of our young men that are being massacred on a daily basis in the most brutal form, please pay your liberation tax. As you can see on the screen, you can scan the code, or you can do that via the website, which is atla.africa, www.atla.africa. And also, if you have interest in only funding IDPs, refugees, please do so. Do not hold back. If you have interest in just funding the children of fallen heroes, people, fighters who took up arms to defend your mothers, your fathers, your brothers, your sisters, protect your properties that you now have back home. If they have fallen and have children, you just want to support those children, please extend that hand of fellowship. Be it our prisoners, extend that hand of support to them. It is time for us to come together and put an end to this once and for all. We've seen our young men buried in their numbers. Our mothers died of heart attacks. So many of our communities destroyed, our street completely ruined. If you don't want this thing to keep happening, please, wherever you are, come together. Let us put an end to this. Cameroon is bankrupt. Cameroon does not have any other thing left. If we can put just a little more energy, then you will be shocked at how fast we can return back to our homeland. So I just want to use this opportunity again to thank every one of you. If you're watching us from any part of the world, We say thank you to you. We also want to continuously thank the leader of the Ambazonian War of Liberation, Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba. Even though he is not here, he has built an organization. He has led an organization that can be trusted. Even in his absence, everybody is doing everything to make sure that his legacy is not destroyed. So we want to continually acknowledge him, the leader and currently the deputy leader of the Ambazonian War of Liberation, Dr. Julius Nee, for the incredible job that he's doing, for fitting into these shoes and just sailing in them without looking back. So we just want to acknowledge him and every other member of the Ambazonian Governing Council that has not relent their effort to make sure that the war keeps, Ambazonians keep being updated, and that our soldiers on the ground have food to eat, clothes to wear, shoes on their feet, and bullets in their guns. So thank you all very much for your time and your support. And I want to give a big shout out to the ACN team, the crew members that are making this possible for us. God bless you for your tireless effort to make sure that Ambazonians are informed on a daily basis on what is happening both on ground zero and in the diaspora. So thank you very much, guys. God bless you. Short live the struggle of Ambazonia, and long live Ambazonia. God bless you all.
So in 1961, Cameroon wrote its military stance. Military officers across international borders aimed captured Ambazonia, and nobody's talking about it. And so we're trying to, have a discussion with the United States government to make sure that we form some partnership and we get this problem resolved. As we speak, more than 40,000 Ambazonians have been killed. No media is talking about it. More than 1 million people displaced. And then you have close to like 500,000 refugees that fled Ambazonia into neighboring Nigeria.
Is your hope that by attending the inauguration you can perhaps talk to some of the U.S. officials who might...
It's a starting point. And we have MGS, who is our lobby firm, trying to introduce us to the inner core of the U.S. government so we can continue some conversations that we have.
Okay. I'm here to take them to the inauguration of President Trump. Do you have a card, sir?
Sure. You mean the inauguration card?
No. Like a... Okay, could you still...
Where the Christians and indigenous people live, and they want their independence. This is the actual prime minister of the Biafra. And we also have with us, so this is the Biafra flag. This is Ambazonia flag. So the other people you see here are leaders of the Ambazonian Governing Council. Ambazonia is the northwest part of Cameroon, they're called the Southern Cameroons, and they're also seeking to obtain their independence from Cameroon. I know it's a little bit eclectic.
Talk with the Prime Minister? How do you do, sir? Good. Could you tell me your name? Can you spell that?
Thank you. This is Elisha Rasulis, lobbyist for Ambazonian Governing Council. We're here in Washington, D.C. With a multifaceted delegation here of Ambazonian Governing Council, the Biafra Public Government in Exile, the Eritrean Government in Exile. So we have a multi-pronged coalition that's sending a very strong signal here in Washington, D.C. As my colleague said here, we're still figuring out what seems to be a complex security setup. Nonetheless, this is a historic victory for the people of Ambazonia to be invited by the United States Congress to attend the inauguration of President Trump, and we'll keep you apprised as we discern some of these security protocols, as are foreign media outlets and other dignitaries who have come here who are figuring out the situation as well. So we're playing it by ear, but we're very excited to be here, and this is a great day for the people of Ambazonia and for the freedom that we seek to establish. And we'll be working closely with the incoming Trump administration, and you'll see a lot of our activities in the weeks to come. So we were very excited about this. Unfortunately, the event is not being held outside. We were given very good access. We would have been very close to the president if the original plans held, but now we have a new situation and everyone's figuring it out. So again, it's an honor to be here, and thank you again for allowing me to address you this morning.
Pain. I see in your eyes anguish. I can read plastered on your faces uncertainty. But that uncertainty, anguish, and pain coexist with hope. Hope that one day we will be able to walk into a free homeland. We will be able to remember all those who have died in our name. We will be able to remember all those who have been raped because they fight for a free Ambazonia. You have come from all places. You've taken time from all your chores. You are here today because you are the true inhabitants of that place that was taken away from us. You have come here as soldiers of the revolution. The last people standing to defend our values, our customs, and our tradition. You've come here to send a message to those who have occupied our homeland, have raped our girls and turned our fathers into boys. That before they will occupy our land in the next 2 years, they will have to eliminate every Ambazonian from the planet Earth. 45 years ago, they instituted a concept of national unity. That concept coexisted with the destruction of our economic potentials. When we protested, they called us terrorists. They said they were standing for national unity. That national unity meant the destruction of our own potentials. It meant the elimination of our own leaders, our own patriot volunteers. The concept of nationality, of national unity, meant we did not have a university. That we should go to Yaoundé and study in French in the name of national unity. It meant we could not have our own parliament because they thought asking us to sit in Yaoundé was the concept of national unity. They thought we didn't have a right to marketing board because we should depend on them because of the concept of national unity. They thought they would destroy our police forces and we should depend on their own protection on the concept of national unity. 45 years ago, they lied us. 45 years after, we have vowed as a people who have suffered tribulation, economic deprivation, political exclusion, pain, anguish, hopelessness, scattered and dotted in the capitals of Western places, being unsure what tomorrow holds for us, being unsure what our children will become, because we went to schools that was dedicated to the production of people who had no value. The bad schools which were just 4 walls to turn us into dependent, to turn us into hopeless people. The best schools that were prison walls where they could revise our history, educate us in their own history to make us slaves. They turn us slaves in the land of our birth. Until a young man called BBC Mancho took his coffin on the street and told Cameroon, give us freedom or give us death. We are here today with our own coffin to bury the concept of national unity, as our brother has said, 1,000 feet down the earth.
Yes!
Never again, Ambazonians. Never again, Ambazonians. to steal our happiness, to treat us like a captured people, to build prisons where they could kidnap our young boys and young girls, transport them from our own city into their own capital. Never again shall we coexist with the people who have no respect for our own essentiality. Never again shall we live with a neighbor that exploit our resources to develop its own country. Never again shall we live with a state that considers us a liability, refuses to develop our own capabilities to become assets to ourselves and our homeland. Never again shall we tolerate a system that denies us the right to exist. Never again shall we let our children be tortured on the streets of our country. Never again, my people, shall we live in pain, shall we live in anguish, hopelessness. Never again shall we sit back and watch our women rape in hostels. Men of Ambazonia, I want you to take the battle block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood. If not for yourself, for our women, for our children, for all those mothers who cannot go to the market because we've imposed ghost towns, for those children who cannot go to school because they've given us an educational system that is a liability, for the lawyers who cannot go to court because they cannot speak the English language in our courts, for all of you sitting in asylum homes in dotted places, hopeless, not knowing what your future would be, whether you will end up in an old people's home or you will return to a land that is hopeless. You are here as soldiers of the revolution. Fight for your country. Never let anybody tell you it's impossible. I have come here as the commander of this revolution to let you know that we will defeat Cameroon. We will not only defeat Cameroon, we will make it impossible for Cameroon again to ever invade our land. I have come here to assure you, to give you the assurances. A few months down the line, we will be able to make our country ungovernable for the Ekemas, the Muketes, the Atanganjis, all those who keep collaborating with the system, the Musonges, the Achidi Achus, all the parliamentarians who legitimize occupation in Yaoundé. If they cross the Mongo and the Matasin, that will be a one-way ticket to hell. We will make it impossible for them to ever return in our homeland, to legitimize a system that has brought us pain, unhappiness, anguish, uncertainty. It is the land of our birth. It belongs to you. For those people yet unborn, for those children who are not going to school, it is your right to exist. And you are here to let Cameroon, to let all those who support Cameroon, to let all those who tolerate this illegality know that our day shall come. The day we will be able to walk into our capital, build a system that responds to our needs, to our norms, customs, and values, that protect our children from hopelessness, that make our men real men, that give our women equal opportunity, that stop the woman.
I call this an ambush.
Yes.
They ambushed us. I am here sitting as chief of Dikolo, the owner of that place, who gave the place to the council. I am not aware that the Minister of Arts and Culture is coming here to sign a memorandum of understanding with a man who is a businessman in Limbe, a non-native of Bimbia, a non-native of Fako, a non-native of the Southwest, as though we don't have people here. Even if they were to do a thing like that, we have a procedure in the council. There's a tenders board in the council. There is a tenders board in the council. If the government, who are preaching decentralization, want to do something in the area, they should push that to the council to advertise so that people can tender, but not for a single individual to go on the ground and they keep it amongst themselves, and then only to come out with letters from Yaoundé to the governor, confidential, that the minister is coming to Limbe to sign a memorandum of understanding with a businessman and to lay a foundation stone of what in the area. The Bimbia people are not aware. The chief of the place who I am not aware. The chiefs of Bimbia, we are not aware. The Fako people who own that place, we are not aware. Southwest, we are not aware. What is that? Can this happen in other areas? No. We know things like this, if they happen in other areas, bloodshed would have happened. Yes. But by the special grace of God, Christianity started at that very place called India. So we are peace-loving people, and Fako are peace-loving people. But our peace-lovingness has been taken for granted.
Enough is enough.
So since we are not aware, we have taken a stand that we will not be. We will not be. So
welcome to ACN.